FaZe brought us the most inspirational, the most influential, and the best trickshotters we have ever seen in the trickshotting community. So in today's video, I wanted to present to you the top 10 greatest FaZe trickshotters of all time.
Live my life A to Z, fill up all the vacancies, feel the vindication from the hate you get for chasing dreams.
At number 10, we have Zazo. Now, Zazo was definitely the most complex FaZe trickshotter I think we've ever seen. And the thing is, FaZe was never really super complex, so just like in a FaZe standards, he's the most complex FaZe person we have ever seen. But he was also extremely good as well. Unfortunately, his peak was on MW2, so he was still in FaZe after that, but it didn't seem like he had the same passion and motivation to continue being the best trickshotter in FaZe. And also, it may have been just because he didn't like the other games to play. But he was still really good throughout years and years to come. But his definitely best peak was MW2. But when he was there, he was an instant favorite for a lot of people. And I think he deserves the number 10 spot. At number 9, we have Prizzy. Now, Prizzy was just good. It seemed like he was good on every single game. He was always like someone noticeable in every single game. Like, he never fell under the radar. He was always like, oh, Prizzy's always really good in FaZe. Like, can you name a really good FaZe trickshotter? Oh, Prizzy. No matter what game it was, no matter what year it was, Prizzy was always up with the standards. And it was really hard to do that back in the day because a lot of the people in FaZe who were like at the peak at some point would always fall off. It was a continuous thing. It was just like a cycle of new people, and then when the best people started getting older, they just completely fell off. But not with Prizzy. Prizzy was constantly and consistently just really good throughout all his time in FaZe. So because of that, I definitely think he deserves the number 9 spot, even though I don't think he ever was like the best trickshotter in FaZe. Because he was consistently good, I think he deserves the number 9 spot. Number 8, we have Zajun. Now, Zajun is someone else who was consistently good throughout all their years in FaZe. There was a period of time, I believe he was not in FaZe, and he joined off of BO1, which is really cool as well that he's able to diversify. And the fact that he was able to like no longer be in FaZe and then able to rejoin is very impressive, honestly, because it seems like, you know, once they fall off, it's really hard for them to come back, and when they do, they somehow just become better than they were before. He was really good at MW2 as well. I think his peak was MW2, but even that being said, he was still really good in every single game, still very noticeable at every single game. Never really the top person, but always on top of a list, like one of the top people on the list for the FaZe trickshotters. So that's why I think he's at the number 8 spot. At number 7, we have Adapt. Now, Adapt's not your conventional FaZe member that like the other ones I just spoke of, but the difference about him is that he was really good at making content videos. His trickshotting career, he was always a solid trickshotter, able to hit good shots and hit them consistently, but he was just never on top of anyone's list. Like, he was never the top trickshotter at any point, but his content videos were the top. He was always making the best videos, and because of that, not only did it grow himself, but it also grew FaZe as well, and became instantly one of the most influential members in the team. And he is honestly a huge reason why FaZe grew so big, because his videos were blowing up all the time. They were so enjoyable to watch, and the reason why he's lower is because I'm trying to rank them off of content, influence, and then trick shots as well. And because he's like an alright trick shotter, he has to be a lot lower. But I cannot deny the fact how influential and how impactful he was to FaZe. So he had to be definitely be mentioned on this list, and he so happened to hit the number 7 spot. Number 6, we have Linksy. Now, Linksy is honestly the golden boy of BO2. BO2 was definitely the most popular trickshotting game, and Linksy was the first person to be like that guy, the best trickshotter on that game. And he became so influential. It's unfortunate he got so outshined later on, but regardless of that, he was definitely one of the most impactful players of that game. He was really showing to everyone how to be extremely good at this game, how to stand out. And it was really cool that he kind of came from like not nothing, but he was from like a very low tier team to FaZe, just going off on that game. So it's really cool to see not just the Cinderella story, but just his overall impact on BO2 trickshotting. And I definitely think he deserves the number 6 spot. Number 5, we have Zimzy. Now, Zimzy is the person that outshined Linksy. Everything I said about Linksy, you can apply a few years later to Zimzy, because at this time, he really raised the standards. He really became the hype of all BO2 trickshotting. I mean, not all the BO2 trickshotting, but just skill-wise, he was the biggest hype. He was considered the best trickshotter in FaZe at the time when he was going off. And it was just like undisputed, and especially the fact that FaZe was really blowing up. So all the momentum, all the traction FaZe had poured onto Zimzy because he was the best at the time. And there's no disrespect to Linksy. I think Linksy just came a little too early, and people have this mindset that if they're not good now, then they're definitely not better than this person. But anyways, that's besides the fact. Linksy's still really good, but I definitely think Zimzy deserves to be higher on this list, and he so happens to hit the number 5 spot. At number 4, we have Apex. Apex is honestly extremely underrated as a trickshotter. There's so many people forget how good Apex was back in MW2. Even me, honestly, not like before I did all these videos, I totally forgot how good Apex was on MW2. He's definitely one of the best MW2 trickshotters we have ever seen. Yes, he kind of fell off later on with all the other Call of Duty games, but during his time in MW2, he was up there. He's up there as one of the best of all time. He had first person to ever hit Legend Ladder. Definitely a top 10 best trick shots of all time on MW2, maybe even all time period. And it's just so crazy how good he was and how much people forget. But that's not the only reason why he's on this list and at this position. It's because his content as well. He did the Road to Kill Cam, something that probably like every FaZe fan, any fan who ever watched FaZe was hoping for, and he finally did something like that. Someone finally did that, and it was him. And it was just so cool seeing all those series, seeing all those videos of like your favorite members just like conversing with each other. It's like, as nerdy as it sounds, like they were like superstars, you know? Like, so it's just cool just hearing their voice and like hearing them interact with other people and themselves. It's just crazy to see that his videos were doing extremely well, and overall it's just such an impactful person. He was definitely leading the charge with Adapt as well, of being the most influential and the most impactful person for not only himself but for FaZe as well. So for that reasons, he definitely deserves to be on this list, and he just so happened, but well deserves to be at the number 4 spot. At number 3, we have Ramos. Ramos honestly did not make a lot of content that really impacted FaZe, like on like content wise, like with personality, right? He didn't really do much of that. But with that being said, he is definitely the best FaZe trick shotter we have ever seen. He was good at every game. Every single game he was good. Every single game he hit consistently. Every single game he was able to keep up with standards. Every single game he was still hitting bangers. It's just crazy to see someone that good at that many games. Yes, he wasn't like super complex, but his skill, his consistency, and is just unmatched. It's really just unmatched. And to be able to do that on any game is just absolutely insane to me. And the one thing a lot of these FaZe members weren't able to do was consistently be relevant on every single game. They always fell off, they always lost passion, blah 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 blah. But Ramos did it for the longest period of time, for years and years and years and years, and it's incredible. It's a feat that a lot of them, and honestly I would say almost all of them, cannot say for themselves except for Ramos. He is the best FaZe trick shotter skill wise, but he is not the best FaZe member of all time. But I will say he is the best FaZe trick shotter of all time, and he so happens to hit the number 3 spot. At number 2, we have Fakie. Now, if you've never heard of Fakie, let me tell you who he is. Fakie is honestly, in my opinion, the biggest butterfly effect of trick shotting. I do not think FaZe would have grown the way they did without Fakie. I don't think trick shotting would have had blossomed the way they did without Fakie. And it's because he's the reason. He's not just the foundations of FaZe, he's the foundations of trick shotting itself, what FaZe is built upon. So without him, I truly don't think trick shotting would have been the same. I don't think it would have grown the same. I don't think it would have been as big as it was. I don't think we would have been, graced, as nerdy as it sounds, with the most creative, the most, passionate and consistent gamers of trick shotting we had ever seen if it weren't for this person. And it's because his trick shotting episodes, his trick shots were the ones that really blew up the most. He was the most influential person way back in 2011, 2012, oh, 2011, 2010. And it's because he was the best trick shotter at the time. He was the best. He was hitting the craziest stuff at the time. And it's like trick shots you didn't even know. You never even heard of trick shots. And he was hitting like some crazy stuff that would blow your mind. He was just so sick. He was so amazing. And he also had content videos that were just like, it felt like you were building a personality, a connection with him as well. So not only that you were such a fan of him, you felt like you knew him. And just overall, man, definitely one of the best FaZe members that ever was. And in my opinion, is number 1. But objectively speaking, he's not number 1, but he should be. But I just hope you just get a little understanding of his impact of not just trick shotting, but in FaZe. But he definitely deserves to be in the top 2. And on this list, he's at number 2. At number 1, we have Rain. Now, I feel like this is the most obvious answer, and you know what? It's well deserved, to be honest. I won't fight anyone who says Rain is the number 1 and Fakie's not. I would totally understand it, and it's because he brought FaZe to a whole nother level. He was the template on how to really build your channel to be that 1 million off of trick shotting. And the things about, about these other guys who did content, Apex did, he wasn't really like around for the longest of time. Dab kind of did like other stuff, not just trick shotting, but Rain, he not just built his own channel, he not just built FaZe, he built trick shotting as well. He blossomed trick shotting even further than it was before. FaZe was already kind of blowing up, but Rain really just put it on the map. He put it to like anyone. Everyone knew about, Black Ops 2 trick shotting. It was just like huge thing. Like you had people at school talking about Black Ops 2 trick shotting. Like, like back in 2012, everyone may have heard of trick shotting, right? But no. In the next year when BO2 came out, everyone, or 2013, 2014, everyone knew. It just felt like every person who was a gamer knew about trick shotting, and it was because of Rain. Rain did an amazing job just exposing to the world what trick shotting was, and I think because of that, it's just undeniable that he is probably the most impactful, the most influential, and the best FaZe trick shot we have ever seen. And I haven't even talked about his trick shots. He's hit probably the best trick shot of all time. He's hit that many times. He's super good, and he's also a really good sniper, but that's irrelevant to this list. But just super duper good trick shotter. One of the best, if not the best, content creators we have ever seen in FaZe. And he's undeniably not only the best trick shotter, but probably the best FaZe member there ever was. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you put some off or take some on? I said that backwards, but that's okay. Let me know, and hope you have a nice day.